What's up, everyone? I'm Jason Foster. He's Ryan Fagan, and this is Opening Day, the show where we open boxes of baseball cards and give the good ones to you for free. Today we're opening a box of 1987 Topps, a beloved set known for its classic wood panel design and rookie cards of Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Bo Jackson. This is the set that got a whole generation of fans into collecting. Let's get it started. Shame on you, box. Okay. Again, we're looking for Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Bo Jackson. We're going to find a lot of gum. See? Stuck to the back. And no, we will not be eating it. Let's see what we get. All right.
Not the world's greatest first pack. Although Dave Rigetti,
he's pictured on the box, which you can't see. Vita Blue. Harry Pendleton. Easily the best card of the pack. We'll set that aside. That one was kind of a dud. On to the next. We should point out that this box was authenticated by Baseball Card Exchange, so we know that it has not been tampered with and is coming to us factory sealed as it came out of the case. When I opened one of these boxes, Hall of Famer Alan Trammell. When I opened
recent Hall of Famer.
Yes. When I opened one of these boxes on Twitter a while back, there was a lot of enthusiasm about potential B.J. Surhoff Future Star cards, so
yes,
we will undoubtedly get some of those.
I like that back in '87 you had 18 cards per pack, not 7 or 8 like you get in some of the new ones.
All right. Unlike Ryan, I will rotate back and forth when I open up a pack. I don't have to go just one side or the other.
Chaos, my man, chaos.
All right, now here's our first leader card, which is always a disappointment.
I liked the leaders because they actually gave you stats. It wasn't just a checklist card.
Yeah. I preferred getting actual cards. This card was worth like $1 for a year and a half, so we will put that aside. Mike Greenwell was going to be the next big thing in Boston. He had some decent years, though. Jimmy Williams looks like he would rather be doing anything else other than taking this picture. Von Hayes, classic 80s player. Bruce Benedict. Speaking of Benedict, I saw him hit his only home run of 1987 in person, which is cool when I look on the back of his 88 cards and see the one homer for 87. I remember that I was there. A lot of these great 80s names like Herm Winningham and Bip Roberts. Bruce Bochy. When I was younger, I used to think that Bruce Bochy and Bruce Bochy were the same person, and it was just a weird misprint, but I should have paid more attention to detail. All right, let's keep it going. Got a Pete Rose card there on the back.
Nice.
All right. Seymour Smoke, Juan Berenguer. Dave Stewart. Now, these were truly disappointing. Anytime you got a checklist as one of your 15 to 18 cards, depending on the set, you were disappointed. Bobby Thigpen. Robin Yount, another Hall of Famer. Put that in the giveaway pile. Oh, does anyone want to try to win a trip to the 1988 spring training? Deadline may have passed.
Scrap iron.
Pete Rose manager card. Now, Pete Rose would get the benefit of having two cards. He would have his player card and his manager card. for a few years there while he was player manager. So it was always it always seemed that one or the other was harder to get. It was usually, for me, the manager card was the one that I struggled to get. So, all right. The good thing with this, as we say all the time when we open these, is for a lot of people, it's not even about getting valuable cards. It's more about remembering the good times of your youth, finding players you used to root for, and just, having fun with it.
And trying to decide whether or not you're going to eat the gum.
Right. I will not.
Did we not already have this pack?
We did. We got a George Bell All-Star. We got a Keith Moreland. We got a Don. Yeah, this is a repeat pack. You would find this with these late 80s, mid to late 80s sets. You would get a lot of sequences which you could easily remember. And you would notice patterns emerging. They would vary them sometimes, but I think this is our first Mike Pagliarulo card.
Yes.
But otherwise, Eric Plunk, who's, I think we said on our last episode or one of the other episodes we filmed, that Eric Plunk is a very common card and
very just a great name for a pitcher.
Yeah. All right, let's keep this going. Ron Kittle, 1983 AL Rookie of the Year. Dave Concepcion, part of the Big Red Machine. This was 87, was toward the end of his career. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think he retired after 89, maybe even 90.
I always love the cards that had the two players on them, like there with Herm Windingham and the other getting tagged out there.
We'll include these turn back the clock cards were kind of cool because if you were, like I was, too young to have been collecting in, I believe 1977, it was a good way to, quote unquote, have the 1977 card, or at least know what it looked like and put it in your notebook.
Plus, they were good players.
Yes.
Tom Lawless, Mr. Bat Flip.
King of the bat flip. If you don't know his famous bat flip in the 87 World Series, Google it. It's a classic.
And Google Ryan Fagan and Tom Lawless, because I got a chance to talk to him a couple of years about it, and it was one of my favorite stories that I've done, just because I grew up in St. Louis, and to watch Tom Lawless give a bat flip in the World Series was just the greatest thing ever.
True, and it's also one of the best pieces of evidence out there that baseball, that bat flips are not a new thing, that they've been doing them for decades, so don't let anyone ever tell you that bat flips are ruining the game and that people didn't used to do them 20, 30, 40 years ago, because they did. Mario Soto. All right. Still no McGwire, still no Bonds, no Bo Jackson, but we got a long way to go.
I'm looking for Moose Haas. That's who I want to see. And when we get to his card, I'll tell you why.
Okay. That's a classic 80s name. This is a pack we've not seen before. Kevin Mitchell. This card was also worth like $1 in the Beckett price guide for a while. We'll put that in the giveaway pile just for nostalgia's sake. Another Yount.
Also, when we get a Howard Johnson, let's look at that one too. We'll pause.
Okay.
And then you're like, what are you talking about? But it'll make sense.
Well, you're building tremendous drama.
Well, yeah, then we won't get them and they'll be disappointed.
Whoa. Our set has gone into chaos.
It's because you're helter-skelter way of opening packs out of the box.
I have my ways. Tim Flannery. See, I can't remember if I've mentioned it before on the camera, but one of my superpowers is being able to tell where baseball card photos were taken in the 70s, 80s, and part of the 90s. For example, this was taken in Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. I can just tell. Palmeiro, future star. This was taken at Shea Stadium. You can tell by the dugout.
And the color on that one, I just loved that because it's just such rich color on that card. For whatever reason, the Palmeiro cards always seemed like the wood grain was even a richer color than some of the other ones.
There he is.
PJ Surhoff.
Now, I've noticed this is the second card we've gotten with that little white dot there. I'm not sure what that's about.
Printer's mark, yeah.
Todd Worrell. Topps All-Star rookie.
Okay, let me tell you a story about Todd Worrell one time. So it's 87, and I bought a box from the Ben Franklin dime store, and was riding it home from my buddy's house, and this dog came running around the corner. This dog's name was Schnitzel. It was a little dachshund, and it startled me, and I dropped this box of 87 Topps that I'd opened with 3 Todd Worrells in it. And the box fell in the snow, and the Todd Worrells fell in the snow, and I'm still mad at that dog, even though this was more years ago than I'd like to admit.
Was this in St. Louis?
It was in suburban St. Louis, yes. Well, so I could have gotten like $3 a piece for those Todd Worrells back then.
I was going to say, in that era, in that location, that was a cardinal sin, you might say.
Oh my gosh.
That just came to me just now.
I'm sorry, folks.
That's what you get with this show. All right, let's see. Hall of Famer Gary Carter. Tom Nienfuhr. Speaking of the Cardinals, I won't say anymore.
Yes. Ozzie Smith and Jack Clark were big fans of Nienfuhr.
Yeah. All right. This is fun. Even though we've not gotten anything super great yet, this is still so much fun. Also, let's see. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's Tiger Stadium because he's with the Tigers, but many of the 86 and 87 Topps cards in the American League were taken at Tiger Stadium. Just a little bit of trivia. Mark, Portugal, Clemens. Terry Francona, Tito. Hall of Famer Cal Ripken. Pretty decent centering on that one, although the bottom is a little bit...
it's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. It's also always interesting when you look at cards even today, like how do they decide which players they're going to use action shots of and who they're just going to grab standing outside of the dugout at spring training? It's a question I would like to ask. Oop, upside down. New Hall of Famer.
Darwin looks like he's 65 years old in that picture.
That also looks like one of the classic Photoshop hats.
Yeah.
Where a guy would go to a team after they took his photo for the card, and so they would then Photoshop. Well, it wasn't Photoshop. It was what's the term called?
Airbrushed.
Yeah, they would airbrush the new logo on, and sometimes they are comically bad. Ricky Henderson, turn back the clock. Back-to-back Astros. Dusty Baker. Hershiser. See, like this card, like, is that really the best picture someone could get of Rick Russell? I don't know. Let's start there already.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep waiting for you to eat a piece of the gum, Jason.
It's not happening. We got a Fernando All-Star. I'll put that aside. Greg Swindell was a guy who, for a little bit in the late 80s, looked like he could be something.
Yeah. Good lefty.
Ken Griffey Sr.
Wait, read the back. Flip over the back of the Griffey card.
Ken and his wife are the parents of 2 sons.
One of those sons turned out to be a pretty good ball player.
Cal Ripken All-Star. Mike Trout's dad. Just kidding.
No.
Dwight Gooden All-Star. Chuck Tanner. Sid Breen. Three 91 Braves in a row on different teams. Sid Breen, Lonnie Smith, Rafael Belliard. right. Waiting on McGwire and Bonds.
And Bo.
Bernansky. George Bell was 87 MVP in the AL. Hit 49 home runs or 47, something like
49.
that. Him and Dawson had the same amount. Andy Hawkins, he of the no-hitter and losing. Joey Youngblood, who a few years before this got a hit for 2 teams in 2 cities on the same day. Former 87 Cy Young winner.
And his son Cam with the Angels can do that freaky eye shake thing that I got on video this spring that was a little disconcerting, if I'm being honest.
Now, Bob Horner, in 87, Bob Horner played in Japan because he and the Braves could not agree to a contract, which, of course, that was during the height of the collusion era, the first collusion 1, you might say, or whatever it was, 2. But he didn't play in MLB in 87, spent the year in Japan, had a decent year, and came back and finished his career in 88 with the Cardinals. You know what? I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go right there.
Crazy person.
I predict this is going to have one of the cards we're looking for.
All right, I'm predicting that it doesn't. The next pack will.
Right. You are probably correct in that it is not in this pack. But we will see. Chili Davis. I don't think we've gotten this pack yet, though.
Billy Joe Rubidoux. What a great name. I always loved that name.
Didn't he have a Future Star card at some point? I thought he was... I'm thinking of someone else. Another checklist. Boo. Steve Sachs, the late Darren Dalton, Bruce Ruffin. I don't know why, but when I was a kid, I used to think that this guy, Alvaro Espinoza, just had a cool sounding name, and I used to try to collect his cards.
You're the guy.
Yeah.
It's a couple good pitch lefties back to back.
Yeah. Don Mattingly. This was another cool card that would, in 87, 88, you could have sold this for $3 on a good day.
On a good day.
Yeah. On a bad day, you'd get like $1.50. All right.
All right, not this one. The next one's going to have one of the guys you're looking for.
Well, you already made your claim.
Well, I thought you were going to go to the second one. I didn't know you were going to go to the top one.
We got another Wallace. We already saw that. Garth Orge. Juan Nieves in 87 pitched a no-hitter. It was the first ever Brewers no-hitter.
Fun fact.
Otis Nixon, who later gained fame with the early 90s Braves. Kent Herbeck gained some infamousness, is that a word, with the 91 Braves, against the 91 Braves.
With the Ron Gant.
Yeah. Although here's a hot take. As a Braves fan growing up in the 90s, I don't think he did anything wrong. I think we covered that before, but I don't think he did anything wrong. Tom Wallace again, king of the bat flips. Dr. K. Terry Forster.
Man.
Yeah, that is not a flattering picture of Terry Forster.
It's not.
I had also forgotten he played for the Angels.
Oh, my gosh.
Dwight Evans. Kind of a blurry looking card, but...
Yeah, he should have gotten more Hall of Fame consideration.
Yeah. El Presidente pitched a perfect game.
All right, this
one right here.
This one right here.
All right.
This is the fact that's going to have it.
I think this is a new pack. We have not seen Frank White yet. I think that's another airbrushed hat. It's hard to tell on the shot you have, but to my eyes, it looks completely airbrushed. There we go.
Told ya.
You did. You nailed it.
I called it 3 packs ago.
Now, nice.
Mark McGwire. That's good. That looks like good set. A little top to bottom off.
Yeah.
But.
So anyway, we'll set that in the giveaway pile for sure. Along with this Darryl Strawberry. Bill Buckner. Ozzie Smith, All-Star.
Very nice.
So yeah, if you had bought this pack at the store for 40 cents in 1987, you would have been pleased just because of that McGwire card, and everything else was a bonus. There's Bochy, who was retiring from managing after this season. Ryan, that was an inspired call.
I need to go play the lottery or something.
Now, if you can successfully call a Bonds or Bo Jackson pack, then
I gotta feel it. It's like calling a home run when you go to a game. You like, it's going out here. You just gotta feel it.
I know. And when you don't tell someone, it makes you mad.
That was a great card then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because nobody ever believes I was gonna call that. Yeah. Well, you didn't. So.
On Baylor. Robbie Thompson. Lee Smith, another new Hall of Famer.
I love the look of Barry Jones. He looks so confused.
It's like, what am I doing?
He's doing a Sudoku.
What do you want me to write? Maybe it's Mad Libs. All right. I'm calling a Bonds in this pack.
You're trying too hard. Something happened.
No, I'm calling it. There will be a Bonds in this pack. If I'm wrong,
delete the gum.
Absolutely nothing will happen.
Dang it.
Well, we've not seen a Dickie Thon yet, have we?
I don't think so.
So there's maybe, I don't think it's happening.
I told you.
Second spitter.
Yes.
We'll throw that in the giveaway pile for Seinfeld's sake. All right, I was wrong. This box is not cooperating with our design, but whatever. We'll just deal with it. Speaking of Seinfeld, we have a Keith Hernandez card on the back.
Nice.
So.
I love Lamp. Sorry.
Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg. Another Gary Carter.
Couple Hall of Famers here.
Must have been cold that day in Detroit. See, I can tell that's where it is.
I don't know enough to say whether you're right or wrong. Vince Coleman.
Do we put that in the pile?
I mean, he was in the height of his 100 stolen base run. Why not?
Yeah, we'll do it. There we go. We'll put Keith Hernandez in the pile.
Because he's Keith Hernandez.
Yeah, and if we had put Roger McDowell in and not Keith Hernandez, that would have been terrible.
Hernandez knows more about getting the second base.
Right. I'll say this for the gum. It definitely doesn't feel any different than it did in '87.
No.
Like it was always hard and crumbly.
The preservatives were wonderful.
Now, Willie Hernandez, for those who don't know, in 1984,
yes,
was the AL MVP and Cy Young winner. And if you look back at his stats, they're not that impressive. In fact, real quick, you don't have to worry about focusing in too much there. But all right, in '84, he appeared in 80 games, which led the league. He pitched 140 and a third innings. He was 9-3 with 112 strikeouts and 32 saves and a 1.92 ERA. I mean, that's solid. That's good.
I think part of that, though, was because the Tigers were so good that year.
Right.
And he was such a big part of that.
Right.
Plus, he's the dad of 3 children. So,
right, and that's one better than King Griffey and his wife. So. But anyway, he's one of the biggest head-scratcher winners of all time of the postseason awards. Hall of Famer Don Sutton. The Penguin.
He didn't look very penguin-like there.
No. Speaking of seasons, John Tudor, 1985. Go look up his stats, or I could just tell you because I got them right here. 85. John Tudor was 21-8 with 10 shutouts and 14 complete games and a 1.93 ERA, and he wasn't even the best pitcher in his division.
Because he started that year. I think that he was like 1-8 in his first 9 decisions that year. and just went on this incredible stretch. But, he was no Dwight Gooden.
Right.
Who turned in one of the greatest seasons ever for a right-handed pitcher.
Right. I did a slide list a few years ago of baseball feats that we'll never see again. And John Tudor's 1985 season was one of them. I mean,
10 shutouts.
10 shutouts and 14 complete games, and also not winning the Cy Young because someone else was that much better. I mean, Dwight Gooden.
And he deserved it.
Yeah,
and Gooden deserved it. Absolutely.
Gooden was the clear choice.
Yeah.
But on the bright side, Tudor enjoys scuba diving.
Yes.
My dad used to scuba dive. Dale Murphy. When I was a kid, he was my favorite player. So that's definitely going in the pile. All right. We're more than halfway through the box. Still no Bonds, although we do have a McGwire. We've not had a Bo Jackson yet, so we'll see how that plays out. Another Hershiser. Our stack is getting a little unwieldy. So, Jerry Willard, 1991 World Series hero, sac fly, won Game 4 for the Braves. And he beat Dan Gladden's Twins that day. John Kruk. My one John Kruk story is when I was in Atlanta at SunTrust Park last September for a Braves-Phillies series, the series where the Braves won the division. I was coming out of the men's room just as Kruk was walking into the men's room, and we gave each other a sup head nod. That's my John Kruk story.
That is just thrilling.
It was in the press box. We weren't just wandering around the concourse. Corey Schneider. This was a solid $2 card.
No.
Yes,
Corey
it
Schneider
was.
never $2.
Yes, he was.
I think
he had the little arrow that was pointing up in the Beckett guide.
Yeah, I think it never got up.
If you're watching this and have an old Beckett on hand, circa like January, February '88, go take a look at Corey Schneider and just let me know. I'm happy to admit if I'm wrong. I just remember wanting the Corey Schneider card. Hall of Famer Dave Winfield.
Rockies manager Bud Black.
When I was opening some 87 packs on Twitter several weeks ago, I mentioned how the 87 sets, especially with Topps, were like really the last set before everything went super mass produced, because it was the last set of the big three, Topps, Fleer, and Donruss, where there were cards that people actually wanted that were like sought after rookie cards or future stars or whatever. And it just seemed like in '88, everything that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
There may be evidence or statistics that can point to a different year, but for me, '88 was the year when I was like, it stopped being fun to collect baseball cards because you were just, every packet seemed like was like full of Eric Plunk, Hall of Famer Jim Rice. But I also think that's part of the reason that this set is so popular with fans, Hall of Famer George Brett, because Hall of Famer Rich Gossage, because it is the last set, for the most part, that people really cared about until really Upper Deck.
Well, just for the sake of caring about it, because there was other reasons. Now there's autograph cards, all this stuff, but.
Right, I'm talking about the original old school big three trading companies and like why people bought cards and the kind of cards you wanted. And then after that, it was just, the card companies had to come up with different ways to make people buy their products. So they started putting in autographs and relics and stuff like that. But back here, Ozzie,
Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith,
it was just, you bought cards because you wanted your favorite players or that, McGwire rookie that was worth $1 or $2. And that really stopped happening for the most part after the 87 sets. Hall of Famer Andre Dawson. All right, I'm calling a Bonds again. I won't call anymore after this one.
I mean, call it when you feel it. I think you're trying to force it.
No. I've told my Bill Gullickson story. I think I told it on the Donruss episode, so I won't tell it again. But Hall of Famer Mike Schmidt, who in early 87, hit his 500th homer.
Nice.
Lamar Hoyt.
Again, not a flattering picture.
Right. It's like, hey, Lamar, look over here. Click. Brett Butler. Brett Butler had a better career than most people, I think, realize. Go to his Baseball Reference page. I mean, he's not close to Hall of Fame status, but he had a really good career.
He's close to expanded Hall of Fame status.
Yeah, if you believe in a super big Hall.
Super big Hall. Yeah.
All right, I was wrong. I'm not calling it anymore. So it's up to you, Ryan, to
I gotta feel it.
Make magic.
I'm just sad we haven't seen Moose Haas or Howard Johnson yet. I've got good little anecdotes, darn it.
Well, there are plenty more boxes to go. Packs, rather. Chris Chambliss.
Jim Traber, not a fan of buttons.
Yeah, he's got like looks like a starter jacket under his uniform and a hoodie. Tommy John.
Mr. Surgery. Willie Wilson, talking about a guy who had a better career than most, well, people in Kansas City know, but he had some great numbers, some great years.
Nick Osaski, victim of vertigo, ended his career. Gene Garber, he combined with Larry McWilliams in 1978 to end Pete Rose's 44-game hitting streak.
I did not know that.
Which Pete Rose was angry because he said, I'll finish that story in a minute. Look how much he's choking up on the bat. You don't get that anymore, but in the 80s, people would choke up.
Anthony Rizzo chokes up occasionally, which is strange because he's such a power hitter.
My boy, Cal Daniels.
Yes.
Man, gum really makes a pop.
Is that gum on the picture?
Yeah,
that's not normal. Couldn't happen to a better guy.
Eddie Murray, Hall of Famer. You know, I don't even know that I ever had this card when I was collecting.
Oh, I did. I love that card
because it looks like something I've not seen before. Darryl Porter's another guy who had a better career than you.
For catchers, he's not too far off.
He had a year where he had like a 7-WAR season.
Yeah,
he might have had more than one.
He was MVP of the '82 World Series
and the '82 and the NLCS.
And the LCS. I wince when I see Dave Dravecky, obviously, with the way his career ended with that arm snapping in the middle of the pitch. Ugh.
Yeah, that was a sad
Phil Bradley,
story.
wait, stop there a second. Look at the back of Phil Bradley's card. He's one of the few players ever to go from 0 home runs one year to more than 20 the next year.
26.
Yeah, and it was only 0 and 320 at bats, but still.
And then back down to 12.
Yeah, he was a University of Missouri quarterback.
Nails. All right. You know, I'm starting to doubt our ability to
this
get
one.
I'm
going to call this one.
Oh, you're calling it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not nearly as confident in this one, though.
Well, maybe you're forcing it.
I might be. I'm willing to admit that, though.
All right. There we go.
2 for 2.
Go Jackson.
I'm just saying. Isn't that a great looking card?
That is a great looking card.
Seriously, can I buy lottery tickets on my phone, or do I need
send all lottery requests to R. Fagan. Let's see. I was thinking you were talking about bonds, but I forgot.
No, I was just calling in general. One of the cards we were looking for.
I'll put Darryl in there.
Yogi Berra on the Astros. That just seems weird.
Teddy Higuera. He's another pitcher who was, if you look at his early career stats, like his first 3 or 4 seasons, he was on a Hall of Fame track, like for 4 seasons, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And
lots of guys were on the Hall of Fame track for 4 years, but yeah.
When you look at his numbers, this only goes to 86, but Go to Baseball Reference, look up like his first 4 seasons, and I mean he was a good pitcher, and then he got hurt and he had to retire basically. All right. Harold Reynolds.
HR.
Trevor Hoffman's brother, right? Or was that Guy Hoffman's brother?
Let's see what it says on the back.
And it doesn't.
So Legion Ball All-Star. That's good.
Yeah. That's as good as being a Major League All-Star, right?
Pretty much. Jack Clark.
I always thought that was a weird picture of Jack Clark. He was known as a power hitter, but they got him, in a rundown between third and home.
Jack Clark. I ate lunch with Jack Clark in a Steak and Shake in Evansville, Indiana one time.
You have 2 is that the same Jack Clark story of your original Jack Clark
I
story?
covered Jack Clark the year that he was the manager of the River City Rascals in the Frontier League.
Yeah.
So I have lots of stories about Jack Clark from that season. There was one time when he got thrown out of the game as part of a big brawl against a team in Richmond Roosters. And so Jack found a folding chair and sat on top of the dugout and watched the rest of the game from, the locker room, which was out to the side. But yeah, no, there was all kinds of good Jack Clark stories from that year.
That's a good story. That would have been awesome to see the manager thrown out and he just set up shop on top of it.
I mean, everyone got thrown out. That brawl was just... they called the cops in because the umpires weren't doing anything. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And I talked to the guy, I forget the kid's name, who started it all, and I asked him afterwards, yeah, Tony Gwynn. I said, did you do that on purpose? Because he threw it at the guy's head. He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, he had it coming. All right, kid. He knew he was he was having a bad year. He knew he was getting cut in the next week or 2. And he was like, yeah, I'm done. I just wanted to get one more before I went out.
Dual Alexander, later in 87, traded for John Smoltz. This looks almost like a studio portrait.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like an airbrush backdrop.
There you go.
All right, flip over the back of Moose Haas. Is a black belt in Taekwondo, an amateur magician, and a certified locksmith. I mean, you're not going to get a better back of the baseball card factoid trio than that right there.
And despite all that awesomeness, he was also a Major League Baseball player.
I know.
That might be, he's the most interesting man in the world.
How do you find time to be a locksmith and a baseball player? I don't know.
But taking the time to be a certified locksmith.
Hall of Famer there. I mean, you don't want to be an amateur locksmith. That's just embarrassing.
Yeah. Another Pete Rose manager card. All right, we're getting toward the end here. We got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 packs left. Unless one is out of my field of vision. Jim Rice, Hall of Famer. Dennis Eckersley, Hall of Famer. Not a Hall of Famer.
Good pitching coach, though.
Ron Karkovice. Now, you want to talk about bat flips? Gary Matthews had one of the all-time greats. 1983 NLCS. Google it.
Sarge.
He hits the home run and flips the bat behind his back all in one motion. It's awesome. See if you can find it. There's a future star who did not turn out to be such a thing. Another choke up of Mike Fishman. My boy. Nate Snell also looks like, he's like, why are you taking my picture? Or someone has called his name right as the photographer snapped the picture and he's looking elsewhere.
They're like, should we get another one? Nah.
Okay, now we're good. Oh, I lied. I think there's more packs. You know, of the boxes we've opened so far, this has been one of the most fun because we've had some hits, we've had some good...
and I'm 2 for 2.
You are. I'm jealous.
Billy Bean. Look at the back of his card. Talked about his sister Chris, who was the volleyball championship star.
That's bad when on the back of your own card, the best factoid they can come up with is something your sister did.
Yeah, I mean, he went on to a pretty good career as a front office guy, right?
Yeah.
Weird Al Yankovic right there.
Yeah. Man, look at those glasses. This is in-game action. He's wearing just regular giant 80s glasses, which were common back then, but it's still weird to me because I wear glasses and I don't like to do anything active with my glasses on because I feel like I'm going to crack them or they're going to fall off or something. Anyway, Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla.
That's like Bonds adjacent.
Bonds adjacent.
Willie McGee.
Willie McGee.
I'll put that there.
He's one of my all-time favorite players.
Another Tony Gwynn.
I like that picture of Tony Gwynn because it was like you had the view coming from the umpire's perspective.
I have a Mike Bilecki story.
I figured you did when you stopped the...
Well, it's a little bit long, so bear with me. I was at Braves Fantasy Camp in 2013.
Okay.
And Bilecki is one of the former players who goes to the fantasy camp every year. And David Justice was there as a guest instructor, and he was talking in the clubhouse like he was addressing the entire camp, and he gave this really heartfelt speech about how being back in a clubhouse with a uniform on, hanging out with his former teammates was really a great time, and it was just as special for him as it was for the campers who were there. And after this really serious speech, Bilecki raises his hand and says, "David, I think I speak for everyone in this room when I say, do you have any naked pictures of Halle Berry?" And of course, the room went crazy. And there's video of it on YouTube. You can find that speech. But that's my Mike Bilecki story. All right.
How many we got left?
1, 2, 5.
All right.
Mike Greenwell will add to the stack for 80s nostalgia. Jimmy Williams. I think we got this pack already. The Hawk. Back-to-back Expos. Another Mattingly. All right. We're down to the last 4. Still no Bonds, only one Jackson, and only one McGwire. And we'll point out again, in case you have skipped around in this video, this box was certified from a sealed case from Baseball Card Exchange, untampered with, Carlton Fisk, Hall of Famer. Should be in the Hall of Fame, so we will include him in the stack.
Should be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe.
Dave Parker, you think?
Yeah, he's got a better case than you think.
Yeah, I mean, he does. He's always one of those guys where you look and say, oh, that's better than I remembered. But that was mostly the damage he did in the 70s. Like, his 80s were hit and miss.
Mark Langston, of course, who was traded for...
I don't know.
He was the Randy Johnson guy, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
I think so, yeah.
I saw Ron Ooster hit a homer in person. All right. We are nearing the end. I think this is our first Kurt Ford card, which I'll see on the back, so we could have a Bonds in here. I'm just basing that on nothing.
Which is a good thing to base
every now and then you get a card that, I don't know how easy you can see it on the camera, but there's a clear crease.
Oh, yeah.
Down through there. It's hard to see, but... And there's also one here on this Mark Portugal. And a little bit of one on this Dave Magadan, but we'll include it anyway in the giveaway pack. Saberhagen, we'll put that in there. Mike Maddux, brother of Greg.
We've come across a lot of good pitching coaches in these.
Yeah, this was another, like, by default Pete Rose card in this set, was the Reds leaders, because he was player manager, and this is a Mound Conference notable because he's wearing his first baseman's mitt. Ron Guidry. All right. Danny Tartable, All-Star Rookie. That would have been something you wanted back then. Tom Hume, again with the giant 80s glasses. Looks kind of confused. Rags.
Jerry Royce looking like he's 85. Look at that white hair.
I know, that's crazy. Steve Carlton, Hall of Famer. Donnie Hill also looks a bit confused. Not sure what's going on there.
What does it say on the bottom of his bat? There's no Billy Ripken we're just finding for the first time, right?
It says 15. That would be awesome if we discovered something like that.
Although there's nothing to be discovered in this set that wasn't discovered before.
All right. 2 packs left. Wait, no, 1 pack. This is the last pack. So... Gorman Thomas. Now, Andres Thomas did not pan out as a, rated rookie, so to speak, even though that's Donruss. Braves fans can tell you some horror stories about Andres Thomas. What's that?
No, go ahead.
Not sensing a bonds. No bonds, but we did get a ton of cool cards. Okay, Ryan, we got a whole bunch of these glorious wood panel 87 Topps cards, along with a lot of not so glorious gum.
I'm not eating that.
Don't eat it, it's not good for you. But most importantly, we got most of what we were looking for. We got a Mark McGwire first Major League rookie and the Bo Jackson Future Star card, along with this pretty nice stack of future Hall of Famers and All-Stars of the day. And as usual, we want to give them away to you.
What do they need to do, Jason?
I'm glad you asked, Ryan. As usual, we need you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment with the magic word
Future Star.
And that's it. You can also follow us on Twitter if you like. You can see our handles here. So until next time, I'm Jason. He's Ryan. Thanks for watching Opening Day.